Cannabis Common Sense, the show that tells the truth about marijuana and the politics behind its prohibition.
Hello and welcome to another exciting edition of Cannabis Common Sense. We have a great show for you tonight. Standing by in the wings, ready to bring us some tunes, are John Cornett and his friend Corey. How are you?
Very good, Paul.
Doing well.
All right.
Thank
Thanks for both of you for coming back. And next to me is Mr. Casper Leach, the joint host
Happy
of
Friday.
the show. We have quite a bit of hemp news for you tonight, some songs and some film clips, and an ongoing political movement. So stay tuned as we bring on our infamous Dancing Cannabis Leaves. Here they come.
Feel the force.
All right, our first story tonight is from Washington, D.C. GOP Representative Dana Rohrabacher and Democratic Representative Sam Farr, both of California, along with our own Earl Blumenauer from here in Portland, Oregon, are once again offering a bipartisan amendment to the House floor to protect states' rights when it comes to marijuana. Rohrabacher, Blumenauer, and Farr brought up the amendment several times, most recently in 2012 when it was defeated 162 to 262. Since that vote, 4 more states, Illinois, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, and Maryland, have allowed medicinal marijuana, bringing the total to 21, and the District of Columbia. Advocates expect the strongest vote yet when the fiscal 2015 Commerce, Justice, Science Appropriations Measure, H.R. 4660, comes to the House floor in a few weeks. The chief provision of the amendment, which will be offered to the appropriations bill, would prohibit the federal government from prosecuting medical marijuana patients and providers who are in compliance with their state laws. The House has already voted on a similar amendment 6 times since 2003, with about 150 to 160 votes in support each time. An unusual coalition of social liberals who see it as a civil rights issue and conservatives who see it as a states' rights issue back the amendment. Advocates expect that more than ever, Congress critters will support the bipartisan proposal this year, which is likely again to be co-sponsored by Rohrabacher, Farr of California, and our own Earl Blumenauer. The skyrocketing poll numbers showing widespread support for legalization should imbue more politicians with the courage to do what was already the right thing to do. A January poll from CNN showed that 88% of respondents said that adults should be legally able to use marijuana for medical purposes if prescribed by a doctor. And in an April 2013 Gallup poll showed for the first time that in that organization's history, the Gallup poll, that a majority of respondents, 58%, support legalizing marijuana for adults. Also in Washington, D.C., the newest revelations emerging from an investigation spurred by recent documents released by Edward Snowden suggests that the National Security Administration is using the Drug Enforcement Administration to act as access to wiretaps to record personal information in several foreign countries, including recording every cell phone conversation to and from and within the Bahamas, a democratically elected ally that appears not to have knowledge or have consented to this plan, and that has national law specifically forbidding such interference. It was also revealed that the NSA lied to Congress about the extent of the surveillance program. In an amazing story on The Intercept, authors Ryan Devereaux, Glenn Greenwald, and Laura Petris explored SOMALGET, a subset of Mystic, an NSA program to monitor telecommunications around the globe, including Mexico, the Philippines, Kenya, and other nations left unnamed for fear of instigating violence, a group of countries representing more than 250 million people. The story is reminiscent of an investigation by Reuters last year showing agencies sharing information in a tactic called parallel construction to obscure the origins of the information in criminal trials, tying the hands of defense attorneys. The authors fear that if the NSA is using lawful intercepts made by the DEA under the auspices of intercepting the communications of specific drug kingpins to record conversations of every private citizen in that country, it could seriously imperil foreign cooperation in international law enforcement efforts that may be needed in the fight against international terrorism and other concerns. Finn Salander, a retired DEA special agent and law enforcement against prohibition speaker, said in an article that, quote, DEA is actually one of the biggest spy operations out there. Our mandate is not just drugs, we collect intelligence, end quote. Adding insult to injury, in a story not unsurprising to those familiar with the way drug prosecutions are run, the information obtained does not even seem to be being used against the dangerous drug kingpins and those who enable them. One would hope provide some justification for such efforts. Instead, according to the authors, quote, an internal NSA presentation from 2013 recounts with pride how analysts in this program to locate an individual who arranged Mexico to United States marijuana shipments through the U.S. Postal Service. Law Enforcement Against Prohibition, LEP, is a group of law enforcement officials who are fighting in the front lines of the war against drugs and now advocate for its end. In Uruguay, which has just legalized marijuana on a national level, a country in South America, marijuana production and sales will be exempt from taxes in Uruguay, according to government consultants who said the move is to ensure prices remain low enough to undercut competition from the black market. Uruguay's Congress in December approved a law allowing the legal cultivation and sale of marijuana, making it the first nation on earth to do so in modern times, with the aim of wresting the business from smugglers, reports Melina Castida at Reuters news agency. Brian Werner at Northern Colorado Water Conservation District, which is in charge of about a third of the water for Colorado, said the principal objective is not tax collection. Everything has to be geared toward undercutting the black markets. We'll make sure the price is low. Up to 6 licenses to produce cannabis legally will be auctioned in the coming weeks. The government's also considering cultivating cannabis on a plot of land controlled by the Army to avoid illegal trafficking of the crop. Tobacco and alcohol are heavily taxed in Uruguay, but the official cannabis trade will almost entirely be tax-free, according to their government. Uruguay doesn't require a decree or law to exempt a product from taxes. According to the policy signed this week by Uruguayan President Jose Mujica, Uruguayans will be able to buy up to 10 grams of cannabis a week in pharmacies for between 85 cents and $1 a gram, a price comparable to the black market there. Both states in the United States which have legalized marijuana, Colorado and Washington, heavily tax it, or in Washington's case, theoretically tax it heavily, since no marijuana stores have yet opened, more than a year and a half after voters approved I-502. The Washington measure legalizes up to an ounce for adults, but doesn't allow home growing, requiring marijuana users to buy their cannabis from state licensed stores. The Minnesota House of Representatives and Senate gave final approval this Friday to legislation that will allow some people with debilitating conditions to access medical marijuana if their doctors recommend it. The measure will now be sent to Minnesota Governor Mark Dayton, who said he plans to sign it into law. The final version of this legislation will not allow individuals suffering from intractable pain, nausea, wasting, or post-traumatic stress disorder to access medical marijuana. We applaud, though, the Minnesota legislature for taking action on this important issue. It reflects the strong and growing public support for safe and legal access to marijuana. We, however, think that restricting it so just limits it to about 5,000 patients in the state, when there are probably 100,000 people who would qualify under a law such as in Washington or Oregon's. So it's a good move, but not all the way there. In Colorado and Washington, though, however, some marijuana farmers may soon find themselves with some thirsty plants if the federal government decides to block the use of federal water for state legal cannabis cultivation. The United States Bureau of Reclamation is in charge of managing federal water resources, and at the request of various water districts in the West, The Bureau is evaluating how the Controlled Substances Act applies in the context of the reclamation project water being used to facilitate marijuana-related activities, according to their spokesman, Peter Soth. Water districts in Washington and Colorado contract with federal water projects, and officials from some of those districts said they think the federal government will turn off the water. According to Brian Werner, a Northern Colorado Water Conservancy District, which is in charge of the water there, he said, quote, "Certainly every indication we are hearing is that their policy will be that federal water supplies cannot be used to grow marijuana," end quote. Meanwhile, in Washington State, the Rosa Irrigation District, which supplies federal water to about 72,000 acres in Yakima and Benton counties, has issued a precautionary message to water customers who may be involved in state legal marijuana grow operations. Rosa District Manager Scott Revel wrote in letters to Yakima and Benton County commissioners, quote, "Local irrigation districts operating federal irrigation projects have recently been advised that under the federal reclamation law, it is likely project water cannot be delivered and utilized for purposes that are illegal under federal law. Presumably, growing marijuana would fall into this category," end quote, Revel wrote. If water is so precious and scarce that it can't be used for state legal marijuana cultivation, it shouldn't be used for brewing and distilling more harmful intoxicating substances like beer and liquor. While we appreciate how the Obama administration has made some administrative concessions to the majority of voters who support legalization by issuing bank guidelines and having the Justice Department largely stand out of the way of state implementation, this water issue highlights the urgent need to actually change federal law. The impact could be worse in Washington than in Colorado, since the Bureau of Reclamation controls the water supply for about 2/3 of Washington's irrigated land. The Seattle Times has already printed an editorial urging the federal government to allow Washington's marijuana farmers to use federal water. And finally, in the state of Colorado, Democratic Governor John Hickenlooper on Wednesday approved legislation to fund observational and clinical research assessing the safety and therapeutic efficacy of cannabis. The measure earmarks up to $10 million within the state's medical marijuana program fund to be utilized specifically to gather objective scientific research regarding the efficacy of administering marijuana and its component parts as part of medical treatment. Law also establishes a scientific advisory council, which may include expert participants from around the nation, to evaluate research proposals and make recommendations regarding the use of those funds. Despite the passage of legislation in various states permitting patients to access medicinal cannabis, only one state, California, has explicitly directed state funds towards supporting clinical cannabis research. That program, established at various California state universities, funded numerous clinical trials over the past decade evaluating the efficacy of whole plant cannabis for a variety of conditions, including multiple sclerosis and neuropathic pain. A review of those trials, published in the Open Neurology Journal, concluded, quote, "Based on evidence currently available, the Schedule I classification of marijuana is not tenable. It's not accurate that cannabis has no medical value or that information on its safety is lacking," end quote. Earlier this month, the Drug Enforcement Administration, or DEA, publicly announced in the Federal Register that it's increasing its marijuana production quota from 21 kilograms to 650 kilograms, about 1,500 pounds, in order to meet increasing demand for the plant from clinical investigators. Federal regulations permit a farm at University of Mississippi to cultivate set quantities of cannabis for use in federally approved clinical trials. Regulators at the DEA, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, the Public Health Service, and the U.S. National Institute on Drug Abuse must approve any clinical protocol seeking to study the plant's effects in human subjects, including those trials that are either state or privately funded. That's the end of our rather lengthy hemp news segment. We're ready for Mr. John Cornett. And Corey, how are you guys?
How you doing? A little Beatles song here for Brother Casper. It goes a little bit like this.
All right.
Soon as you're born, they make you feel small. By giving you no time instead of it all. Till the pain is so big, you feel nothing at all. working class hero is something to be. A working class hero is something to be. They hurt you at home and then they hit you at school. They hate you if you're clever and they despise a fool. You're so fucking crazy you can't follow the rules. Working class hero is something to be. Working class hero is something to be. They've tortured and scared you for 20 odd years. And they expect you to pick a career. You barely function. You're so full of fear. A working class hero is something to be. A working class hero is something to be. Keep you hooked on religion, sex, and TV. You think you're so clever and classless and free. But you're still fucking peasants, as far as I can see. Me too. A working class hero is something to be. A working class hero is something to be. There's room at the top. They're telling you still. As long as you learn how to smile as you kill. You want to be like those folks on the hill. A working class hero is something to be. A working class hero is something to be. If you want to be a hero, just follow you. If you want to be a hero, just follow you.
Corey.
All right. Welcome to back to the show. I'd like to introduce our guests this evening, and thank you, Corey and John. Good version. One of my favorite John Lennon tunes. Welcome to the show, Corey. Hey, Casper. Hi, Michael.
Hello.
Most people know that watch this show that Casper is our co-host or joint host. I know you like that term, joint host. You like people to take a hit on their joint every time I say that, right?
Right.
And then right next to me, this is Jersey Deutsch and Michael, who are both working on our initiative campaigns and working in our office on our effort to legalize marijuana. So they're here tonight to talk about that campaign and some of the upcoming events regarding that. So how's it going, Jersey?
Awesome. Thank you so much for having us.
Sure.
Yeah. Our organizers at the office love the show. They love watching it, so they're going to be very happy to see me and Michael here.
Well, you will be on the internet as long as YouTube keeps these videos up, and maybe for a long time.
Awesome.
Be able to look back when you're an old guy like me and say, "Look, I used to be young." I do that with some of my shows. After it'll be 18 years in October,
Oh, wow.
but time flies by. So, tell us about what's going on with the petition drive right now.
I definitely will. So yeah, like Paul said, my name is Jersey. I am the campaign director on the campaign to legalize marijuana and end prohibition here in Oregon. And super exciting. We have a lot going on. As of right now, we actually have 29 organizers. Next week, we'll be pushing 35, 40 every single week. We increase our staff. We have an amazing recruitment model in place. When it comes to volunteers, volunteers are the lifeblood of this campaign. Volunteers are pushing, 3,000 volunteers have signed up with us. That's amazing. When it comes to active volunteers, hundreds have come out over the last even 3 months. When it comes to petition numbers, we're kicking butt. I'm totally confident that we're going to qualify this year and win this election. It's super exciting. Just to throw some numbers out there, the way this campaign is getting run, it's an exponential growth campaign when it comes to signature numbers. So when I tell you these numbers, it's really exciting because when we think of exponential growth, you'll hear that we're absolutely going to qualify, because even when we don't lay out the exponential growth numbers and you just hear how we did today and yesterday, and we think of some 21 and 22, we would be ready to qualify. So from May 1st through today, we have gathered over 17,500 signatures. That's pretty amazing. That's with a growing team of what I said, hit 29 staff and several hundred volunteers throughout the state, right? The 17,500 number is more specifically with staff. We're still counting our volunteer signatures. That would bring our rough estimate 21 and 22 count. With 22, at least 30,000 signatures, and with 21, at least 40,000. That's over 70,000 signatures. And when you think about hitting 86,000 signatures, for example, with Initiative 22, we're talking an exact number. That's only 56,000 signatures to go, and we're talking about today we gathered upwards of 1,600 signatures in one day. Right? Last week we were hitting about 1,000 signatures a day. Next week we're going to be hitting more than 2,000 signatures a day, and the week after we're going to be hitting 2,300 signatures, and later in the week we'll be hitting 2,500 signatures. Our goal with our paid organizers is to gather, just when we're talking about one initiative, to make it easier to kind of wrap around in your mind, because campaign strategy can be not the most fun thing to talk about. If we break it down to like Initiative 22, right? Our goal is to hit over 130,000 signatures, and with staff alone, we can hit 70,000, and by July 3rd, and with volunteers, we can hit 30,000.
And that's without the increase in funding that we see coming in the next week or so. So
Absolutely.
With that increase in funding, we expect to hire a lot more people. So if you
Absolutely.
are interested in getting one of those permits and being a signature gatherer, then I recommend you contact our office, because we'll need you to go through the process to get a state badge to circulate our petitions if you're going to be a paid circulator.
Yeah.
So you should call us at 503-235-4606. That's 503-235-4606 if you're interested in being a paid circulator, or if you're interested in volunteering or just signing the petition. You can come into our office at 2712 Northeast Sandy Boulevard, or give us a call or go to our website. You can print out a single signature sheet on the internet, sign that, either bring it to us or mail it to us, and we're getting more and more of those signatures. If you come into our office, we have this nifty newspaper that includes a couple of petitions. So if you're out and about and you see these in your local stores, and we have them in most of the let's see, that way. Most of the dispensaries out there for medical patients, in our office and in various shops around town. Just call us for more information at 503-235-4606.
I mean, I make a comment about the newspaper?
Sure, go right
It
ahead.
is so well written and so nicely laid out that even though I have short-term memory loss, every day that I read it, I enjoy it.
All right.
People on the streets love it too.
You know, we are taking phone calls, and we have a caller standing by here, I'm told. So if you're interested in calling in and asking a question of any of us regarding ending marijuana prohibition, restoring industrial hemp, or helping medical marijuana patients, you can call us. That number there on your screen, 503-288-4442. That's 503-288-4442. Of course, we're live on May 23rd. If you're watching the show and it is not May 23rd, don't call that number. But do if you are. So welcome to the show, caller.
Hello.
Hello.
Dale Forbes. I called last week, Paul. Fellow with the leukemia. And I had called that number and I never got any word back or a petition. And I left my name and address, so maybe other people aren't able to get a hold of you.
So what number did you call? The 235?
The office number that was up there.
Yeah.
And also I went and got all my bottom teeth pulled today because they're infected, and
Sorry to hear that.
they wouldn't give me any pain pills for that, and I'm still taking the oxycodone, and it's not working. So
Sorry to hear that.
I just calling to say that I never heard back from anybody, and I haven't received any paper in the mail.
So did you call the number 235-4606? Not the one that's on the screen right now, but this other number, 503-235-4606. There's the number. That's the one that you're supposed to call to get the petitions mailed to you.
Well, I'm sure I called that because I
Well, if you
wrote
would
them-
please call it again. These guys here, it's their job to mail those out. So hopefully
Yeah.
you've heard it from
Yeah.
the horse's mouth. You got to get on top of that better.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm trying to do in between the doctor stuff.
I see. All right. Well, thanks for letting me know, and thanks for calling in. Have a good evening.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. We have one more call. Let's go ahead and take that call. Welcome to the show, caller.
Greetings. Hey, I would like you in your next edition of your newspaper magazine, whenever you call it there. What's it called? Hemp News?
Yes, Hemp News.
Okay, that's new to me. I'll have to go pick one up somewhere.
Great.
But anyway, I would like you guys, the publisher of your paper, and anybody else out there who's listening who is of a fair-minded mindset, whether they, that runs a publishing, whether they publish a newspaper, a magazine, or whatever, to publish the names of the clowns that voted for the extension, the one-year moratorium, whether it was in Beaverton, Tualatin, Gresham, Clackamas County, Washington County, Hillsborough. Publish the
That's a
names
great idea.
and count them out county by county, city by city, designate which ones were the city councilors of, say, like Beaverton that voted for this one-year moratorium. Because to these people, I got to say, are you serious? You really think that cannabis is dangerous? To give you an idea, the Beaverton Valley Times about a month ago had a front-page article of a Prohibition-style era bar opening on the front page, and it was they devoted about probably 2/3 to 3/4 of the front page about this bar, which sells deadly alcohol, which is going to be selling deadly alcohol. Well, it's already doing it by now because they were supposed to open, I think, April 1st or something like that, or April 10th. But the point is that they're selling this deadly alcohol, and then over to the right of that, on a little narrow column, was an article about how the Beaverton City Councilors had either postponed the opening of cannabis, medical cannabis outlets in the city of Beaverton, or how they were either had voted for, voted basically against cannabis,
Yeah.
voting for this just moronic mindset that they have. And Yeah, and I looked at the front page and I go, what the hell is wrong here? These people got it upside down, backwards, and everything else. I mean, these have got to be the most gullible, crap for brains imbeciles I've ever seen in public elected office in a long time.
Okay. Well, I think it's a good idea.
Me, but
we will
please,
collect those names and try to publicize it and try to get people other than them elected in the next election. That's a very good target, and thanks for that suggestion.
Around here called Culture, and I don't know a couple other ones around.
I know people who spent $100,000 on putting in security, and the medical marijuana program required vaults to be built, safe vaults and safes and cameras and alarms and bars, and then they had to get their licenses, and they filed as a $4,000 filing fee just for the medical marijuana license. And then they get everything, they get their license, and then the county says, no, we are going to pass a moratorium, you can't open. So unfortunately, that's happened to way too many people. So far, only about 90 businesses have obtained those licenses, and only really the ones around Multnomah County and down in Bend, Oregon have been the ones that have really been opening up. There are some in Eugene as well, but Portland and Bend are the largest area for those. But that's a good point. Thank you, sir.
These people are just nuts. Thanks
Yeah,
again, and
I agree. Alcohol's poisonous.
Good work, boy.
Cannabis is beneficial. I mean, not only is it not bad for you, it protects your brain cells and increases your longevity. So
And
it's just crazy that it's illegal.
Buddy,
That's what we're
I
working
watch the
for.
Dr. Oz show all the time, Dr. Oz TV show.
Oh, yeah, he's
And
talking about it now, too. All right, well, thank you, sir. We have a studio audience member who wants to make a comment here. Go right ahead, sir.
Thank you very much, Paul. Relative to that discussion about cities not doing enough, I'm very proud to say my city of Forest Grove, although all the city council members voted no, they all did with a lengthy explanation that they wanted to approve it now, but they have to get the police department and the fire department trained to these new rules. And maybe it's a little bit of an oversight to them, but they basically advocated for this to happen. It's just that there's a lot of change in mindset that has to happen down at the level where the rubber meets the road. The cops don't know what to do, and they're still jacking guys around. It's not going to be fair. So they have to train them to be nice to us, I guess.
All right. Well, thank you. So, Michael.
Yes.
Welcome to our show.
Thank you so much.
You've been working on the campaign, too?
Yes, I'm the development director. So I deal with high donors, and I plan events.
Okay, so what events have you got planned?
Actually, thank you so much for asking. Right here on the front of this desk is a poster for our event Gather. Gather is going to be an event that's going to be held at Branks and on May 30th from 9 a.m. to 2 a.m. or 9 p.m. to 2 a.m. It is $15 at the door. It's 21 and over, $15 at the door. Or you can order your tickets from eventbrite.com and actually get a little bit of a discount to where they're only $12 if you order them through Eventbrite. Basically it is a event to help us raise some funds so that way we can help this campaign and have a strong push to get it on the ballot and to turn the signatures in by July 3rd.
All right, so there's a little poster for it.
Yep.
So where's Branks at?
Branks is about 2 blocks of Martin Luther King Avenue over by City Liquidators. It's basically in that warehouse area over in southeast Portland, basically about 5 blocks south of the Burnside and literally 2 blocks off of Martin Luther King. It's a 320 Northeast 2nd Street.
I see.
Lots of public transportation available around there. Lots of buses go literally 2 blocks away from the MLK. So the 6 goes there, streetcar goes there. It's a perfect location. Wonderful.
How's it going with the high donor? The
high donor thing. One of the things that we do when it comes to anytime we get like a donation that's going to be above, like let's say, we have different levels in a campaign as to what would consider a donor. You've got like the $50 to $100 range. And those are people that are probably going to donate again. And you just basically got to contact them. So basically we create call lists And then once we've created the call list, then what we do is we go through, and after a certain period of time, we call and we're like, hey, thank you so much. It's awesome that you're helping to support this campaign. We're doing the final push right now. So what we're trying to do is, if you could just give like a $15 a month, that helps to support our volunteers on the street who are volunteering their time to collect the money. So that's one of the things. That's the $50 to $100 range. Then when you start dealing with donors who deal with 250 and above, those tend to be dealt with a little bit more hands-on, a little bit finer touch goes into the higher donors. Those are the types of people that you basically want to have high donor functions for, where you have like an event somewhere, like a bar or something, or like someplace where like you have a meal, and then basically you get them together in a room, and then that way at that point you basically have a night, you explain what's currently going on with your campaign, how successful you've been up to the point that you're currently at, how successful you're going to be getting to the ballot, how successful you'll be once it's on the ballot towards the actual election, and then at that point you get them to give you, at the end of the night you ask for more money from them, and normally that's what ends up happening.
I see. So I know that we've been doing canvassing for some time, and most of our current petitioners have shown their dedication to our cause by canvassing,
Right, yeah, exactly.
door-to-door or street setting.
Yeah, I actually started as a canvasser before I became a development director.
I see.
Yeah.
And so in doing that, I know now we've got a number of donors. Is it over, what's the total number of donors right now? Do you know that, Jersey?
I know that a really great number, that donors in Oregon is at least 6,000. So Oregon donors is 6,000.
So about 6,000 Oregon voters have given money to our campaign in the past year.
Yeah.
And the total amount that's been donated is about $130,000 from that drive. Is that right?
Yeah, and actually we had a month there where, because I do the van, so like one of the things that we do is once people donate.
So tell our folks what the van is.
Okay,
The
van is a voter action network, which basically keeps track. So whenever you donate to any campaign at all, period, it doesn't matter which one it is, they have what's called a voter action network. Our voter action network is through a company called NGP, and what we do with van is basically whenever you give a donation to us, there's a form that you fill out to give the donation. On that form is your information. I take that information as well as how much money has been donated to us and enter it into the system so that way it can be put into the ORSTAR rather easily. And also, it gives us the benefit of being able to track our donors very, very
Then we also have another group called C&E Systems that runs the campaigns for most of the major candidates in the state, including the governor and basically everybody. And so they are in charge of entering that information directly into ORSTAR themselves.
Exactly.
So you kind of feed them
exactly.
some of that information.
Yeah, the VAN, the Voter Action Network, is used by the majority of campaigns across the country, including President Obama, right?
Right.
It's super
I've heard of him.
Yeah, I don't know who that guy is.
Michelle, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Apparently he supports
But
a
like
cause or something.
like the donor, the main part about the donors is basically the most important part about this voter action network is tracking where we are, because it doesn't just track donors, it tracks events, it tracks volunteers. So basically you can get a really good idea of where the campaign is sitting at any given moment by just logging in, hitting a screenshot. And actually, one of the things I can tell you about donations is just for the month of April. Just for the month of April, we raised over $12,000.
All right.
Yeah. And grassroots.
And that's as you've been shifting resources to petitioning.
Yep.
And something we've been taking great pride in is that our average donation to CRRH Oregon is $30, which makes us very much a grassroots campaign.
Yeah, exactly. So we are working on our initiative. We need your help to put these things on the ballot. So give us a call at our office, 503-235-4606. We've got two initiatives in circulation. Initiative 21, which is a constitutional amendment, and Initiative 22, a statutory one. They are blue and green. So they are the blue and green petitions out there, not to be confused with any others. And if you need to get petitions, you can come into our office at 2712 Northeast Sandy Boulevard and pick up those petitions. That number is there on your screen. Or you can call us at 503-235-4606 or go to our website. We have the CRRH.org website out there, and that's our organization political committee, Campaign for the Restoration and Regulation of Hemp, an Oregon nonprofit corporation. And we're in the midst of this petition drive. We can certainly use your help. If you can't remember CRRH, hemp.org is a portal to all our websites. That's HEMP.org. You know, we have a couple of film clips. We're going to run the first one for you right now. It's about one of my favorite issues, and that's the main reason that marijuana is prohibited, and that is hemp for energy. We have a little flame here that is our hemp flame for freedom, cannabis energy. It's hemp twine and hemp oil, and it's directly burning, wicking up the hemp oil with the piece of hemp twine. Here's next week's hemp twine wick, and it demonstrates exactly why hemp is the biofuel of the future as soon as we remove the shackles of marijuana prohibition from this, the most productive and oldest crop. So with that said, here is a film clip about hemp for fuel.
1 acre of hemp. If we use the production rates that are evident in the countries currently producing hemp, we could produce the equivalent of 20 to 30 barrels of oil per acre of hemp. Can we fuel the nation with hemp? The answer is yes. According to the United States Agricultural Statistics, in the United States, we have in excess of 950 million acres of farmland. Of that land, we planted in 1987 some 450 million acres. This leaves some 450 to 500 million acres unplanted. In order to produce the amount of methanol to fuel all of our transportation needs, we would need to plant some 12 to 34 million acres of hemp. This would produce the biomass necessary to fuel our country.
And we certainly are glad that the hemp car is here at the Knox County Fair. We invite you, it's only going to be here today, so I would suggest you get here to the Knox County Fair and look over the hemp car, find out all about this alternative to our fuel of motoring around the United States. Now, you're involved in the fuel end of this, is that right?
Correct. Apple Energy is dedicated to the construction of micro biodiesel facilities. 500,000 gallons production a year in regional communities, as opposed to macro construction, which would be multi-million gallon a year facilities where you have to truck your grain a 5 hours drive. We believe in wherever the grain is grown, the fuel should be manufactured there.
And we need alternative fuels, and we need to find ways to be able to fuel our vehicles without something other than oil products.
Correct. It's the beauty of biodiesel is you can use any oilseed crop, ranging from castor bean to palm oil to soy oil to hemp oil, and create a fuel that is 90% cleaner, 90% less carcinogenic than standard diesel fuel. Same energy, but 90% cleaner.
What kind of mileage are they getting on the hemp car?
Pre-introduction of biodiesel, they were getting 27 miles per gallon. Post-introduction of biodiesel, 27 miles per gallon.
Okay, so pretty much there.
Across the board.
Are they traveling all over the United States with the hemp car?
Correct. It's a 10,000-mile journey on the map, starting from Virginia, D.C., to Montreal, Canada, to Toronto, Detroit, down to Columbus, back up to Winnipeg, Canada, over to Vancouver, down to Seattle, down to San Diego, over to Austin, Texas, Atlanta, Georgia, Charlotte, North Carolina, and back up to D.C.
So how did you come to think of this, the hemp car idea, and this national tour you're doing?
Well, I wanted to come out to the West Coast in some kind of environmental fashion, and I've been researching fuels for a while and never really cared about hemp, and came across hemp oil as a transportation fuel and put two and two together. You know, it's like,
when was that? When did you
that
first?
was back in October of last year.
October of last year?
Right
Great.
around there. And started asking, you know, how come this hasn't been done, and took a look into the plant a little more, found out it's not a drug and still falls under the DEA ban, so put two and two together and decided that I had to do it with hemp oil.
And so you're getting hemp oil from Ohio?
Yeah, it originated from China and some from Canada, and then some of it comes into Ohio where it's made into biodiesel via John Worthshafter at the Ohio Hemp Radio. And Mr. Todd Swearingen of Apple Energy, who processes it the oil for us in the biodiesel.
What can you tell us about the car? It's just normal car without...
It's a completely unmodified Mercedes diesel, 1983 turbo diesel. Any diesel engine can burn any vegetable oil, but you'll get a longer engine life turning it into biodiesel, so that's what we're doing.
What about your tour? You started where? And you're
Washington,
going
D.C., July 4th.
The big rally they have there every 4th of July?
We led the rally and took off from there on July 4th, and we covered, let's see, today is August 21st or 22nd?
Yeah,
right around
22nd.
there. So that's about 7 weeks we've been on the road, and we've covered 6,400 miles now.
6,400 miles. And how many cities are you going to in total?
I think we're going to about 50 cities in total.
In how many days is that?
That's in about a little over 90 days, yeah.
50 cities in 90 days. That's ambitious.
Yeah.
And that's on 100% hemp fuel.
Yep.
And what kind of mileage are you getting?
27 miles to gallon, just like the car came from the factory floor.
And so it's being shipped to you along the...
Yeah, we have 12 like drop points, and we have our fuel shipped ahead, and then we pick up as much as we can carry.
Okay, that was Grant Krieger with the hemp car. And that was run on 100%. Get the same posters
All
from
right.
back then as you got now.
There it is from back in 2001. Yeah, well, they're not exactly the same ones. They're replacements. But hemp fuel is the main reason that marijuana is prohibited. That was from 2001. So there's a pretty old clip there. But I think that's the main reason marijuana is illegal. It's about hemp fuel and hemp fiber. And when we remove the shackles of marijuana prohibition from the hemp plant, allow it to be cultivated not according to its THC production, but according to its seed, oil, protein, and fiber production, then it will replace a lot of the toxic processes that pollute our world and are driving our ecology out of balance. And we'll use hemp fiber for building materials and paper and stop deforestation that way. So help us with our petition. Our petition is the only petition yet drafted that really frees hemp according to its most productive and quality capacities. And so that's the one that is the best for the planet. So if you're interested in picking that up, call us at 503-235-4606. That's 503-235-4606. And you can come into our office at 2712 Northeast Sandy Boulevard or print it online. You know, I have a show and tell section here. We have a number of things to show here tonight. So we'll start off with this hemp burger, hemp sausage. There's something you can buy. I just picked it up in a health food store, and you can get it at a lot of them. Right next to it, we have a little pack, a jar from Eli Lilly. Close in on that and focus if you can. There's Cannabis indica. This was a extract that was used for cannabis medicinally. This is another extract also from Eli Lilly, and this one is a powdered extract. What they would do is they would sift marijuana flowers and take off the resin, and so this was basically a little ounce jar of hashish you could get from Eli Lilly for chronic pain, spasms, multiple sclerosis, and also to help you get off of other harder drugs. They said it was useful for addicts with cocaine, opiate, chloroform problems, and also for alcoholics with delirium tremens. Right next door we have this Fraser bottle from Cannabis indica fluid extract, and next to it we have an even larger Eli Lilly group. It says extract number 96. They had about 20 different cannabis products, and this extract number 96 was a cannabis medicine. Then here's another one. This is some cannabis pills, and you can see there's still some pills in there. This is an 1890s one before they started using corks and screw tops. And then here's a 1920 one from American druggists in Long Island City and Greater New York. And this is 100% fluid extract of cannabis. This one's full. This one has a nice little screw top. Another way they would sell it would be in little boxes like this. You take this box and it says to mix this in with a pint of water, and then your dose is a teaspoon. Right over here, our hemp flame of freedom with this cannabis energy drink, our little bit of hemp twine, and chocolate-covered hemp seeds down there on the end. Yummy.
You got everything out here but a big old bag of bud.
Yeah. Well, I'll wait on that a little bit. Okay, we have a caller. Welcome to the show, caller.
Hi, how are you doing?
Very well. How are you?
I'm doing good. My question tonight would be in regards to the medical marijuana program impacts with the proposed legislation.
Okay, you about the dispensaries being banned in city and county moratoriums? Is that what you're talking about?
Oh, no, I'm sorry, I didn't clarify myself. No, I'm talking about the proposed legalization.
Okay. Yeah, the legislature didn't move forward on that. We were hoping they would, and instead we have our 2 petitions, and there's another 3rd petition out there in circulation. One of ours is a statutory bill. It's I-22. The other one out there is I-53, and then our constitutional amendment is I-21, and those are petition drives that are currently in circulation.
In I-21, will it impact the medical marijuana program?
The only impact is that you would then be legally allowed to grow, every adult would be legally allowed to possess and grow marijuana without a license. Outside of that, both of them, in fact, all 3 of the initiatives say they will not, the 2 statutory ones also keep the medical marijuana law intact as it stands today.
Great, great. And then, so plant counts will remain the same as well?
Yes, exactly. The I-22, the I-21, the constitutional amendment simply says people can grow their own and possess their own and can't be arrested for criminal penalties, though the state can impose civil penalties to protect public safety. So it just says anyone can grow their own. They can't put us in jail anymore. I-22 says that each adult over the age of 21 would be legally allowed to possess and 24 ounces and grow 24 plants. And so that's the same, and so any adult would be able to do that without a license once I-22 goes into effect. The other initiative out there, I-53, says that a person can grow, it's 6 plants and 4 ounces. Yeah, they can have 6 plants and 4 ounces under I-53. And ours says that a tax, our I-22 says a tax will be set so the prices stay low and that patients will get marijuana at cost without taxation. I-53 says that there'll be a $35 an ounce tax.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Excellent.
So there's a quick explanation.
Thank you very much for answering my questions. That was great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Bye.
You know, we are also in cahoots with the folks at Hollywood Theater. And on May 29th, they are going to have a nifty showing of Bringing It Home, the movie. It's the Portland Eco Film Festival. And they have given us 8 sets of 2 tickets. That's 8 sets of 2 tickets. So we recommend that you make a donation and call our office and come in and get these. Call us. We have 4 sets of 2 tickets. That's right. Right. Did I say 8? Yeah. Uh-oh. I was wrong. We've got 4 sets of 2 tickets, which is 8 tickets. So come into our office or call us at 503-235-4606. This showing is coming up on May 29th at Hollywood Theater. They're big supporters of us and our show, and we thank them for donating these tickets. We have a brief film clip we're going to show from Bringing It Home, the film that's coming to Hollywood Theater on May 29th. Is that film clip ready to roll, folks? No, not yet. Well, stay tuned. We'll probably have it up there in a second. But I know you're going to be there, right, Jersey?
Yeah, the Portland Eco Film Festival. I'm really excited. It's for Hemp Week. There's going to be a panel afterwards with myself, the filmmaker, and the event coordinator. So it's super exciting. And really excited to get these tickets in. They've donated them to us. So getting some supporters to come to the Bringing It Home. It's the premiere event, the premiere theatrical showing, Bringing It Home. It's a great film about hemp, so we're super excited. Love to have you there.
So that's coming up on May 29th. What day of the week is that?
It's a
Thursday.
Thursday. So it's next Thursday.
Yep,
Yeah,
next Thursday. And then the
soon.
day after that is the Gather at Brinks, May 30th.
Oh,
got a
okay,
whole
so
lot
both of these are in the next week. You
Yep.
can come down there and support us, and otherwise get involved. Are we going to have that film ready to run? Okay, here's a little clip and we've shown many of them in the past from the new film about industrial hemp, Bringing It Home. They're frantically working to pull it up.
Russ and Karen Martin, who we designed and built the very first hemp house in the United States for, their number one thing was they wanted it to be beautiful. They wanted it to be healthy.
Grassroots support. We aren't getting the big bucks from rich.
They'd never heard of hempcrete. Once I started to tell people that I was considering using this for a building material, it really became a joke. I became the hemp guy. There were jokes from the local media about, you know, if the house goes up in flames, the whole city's gonna have a big party. There were some comedians on national TV that made some jokes about the home that we had built.
I just read about a company in North Carolina that builds houses made from hemp. That doesn't sound like a housing plan. That sounds like a weird version of the Three Little Pigs. Like, I'll huff and I'll puff, man. And then we'll totally listen to some Grateful Dead bootlegs. It's gonna be really cool, man.
But, you know, all joking aside, all it took was 5 minutes of time doing a little bit of research to realize that, you know what, this plant is really amazing. And
Okay, it is an amazing plant. That's why we want to legalize it and give our farmers this valuable economic resource to make Oregon the Saudi Arabia of hemp.
Yeah.
So vote for our initiative. Call us and get the petitions. Come in and visit our staff at 2712 Northeast Sandy Boulevard, or call our office at 503-235-4606. And you can go to our web portal at hemp.org. We are about out of time. I want to thank you for coming on, Michael.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jersey.
Yeah, thanks for
Thank
having
you,
me.
Casper. And we are going out on another fantastic song by John Cornette and Corey. So tune in next week and help us restore hemp.